So it was just kind of also like this is my first day starting to ramp back to work a little bit, and I got some good work done. She napped well, her first nap, and I kind of dove into social. This was the day we launched our partnership with Nikki and Bree. So it was really a very exciting day. Oh no. Oh no. And then the amount I could get done was quickly shown to be not very much. Hi, I'm Christy, and on this episode of our fourth trimester journey, we're talking about going back to work. If you're just joining us, throughout my fourth trimester, I captured my experiences with baby number 4. I'll be sharing audio diaries, in-the-moment recordings. It's Monday morning. I am a little out of breath because I keep running up and down the stairs. I've literally gone up and down the stairs 4 times being like, oh, I forgot this. I forgot to take my pain meds. I forgot a pad. Ran back down. Forgot my coffee upstairs. So, okay. And conversations with Zach, our producer.
What did you learn from your experience?
So I think a lot of the conversation is often around leave. What's your leave policy? But I think it should be a broader conversation of like, how are you making it work for working parents at your company on a day-to-day basis?
As you can hear there, the early days of getting back to work are huge, but they are really just the start. The big question is, how can we support parents long term? We're diving into this question on this episode of Today We Tried. Let's start with my story, which is the story of my undying support for parental leave.
The first thing I did when I joined Colugo full-time was draft our parental leave policy.
Running into the reality of the challenges of taking leave while running a small business. At the time Holland was born, Ted and I were 2 of the 4 full-time members of Team Colugo, and we were having a wonderful Team Colugo baby boom in our part-time team with 3 babies born within about a month. Plus, we were dealing with the challenges of a global supply chain disaster, which meant shipments of our strollers were very delayed. I want to emphasize here at the start, I am incredibly lucky. I had access to paid leave, I could work from home, and I'm my own boss. And yet, it was still a challenge.
How are you feeling like on the flip side now as the employer, like about your own self and your own leave, and also that you have other people on leave and like now you're in charge of the policy?
Yeah, that was a big eye opener for me this time around. So I was very lucky at the law firm with the parental leave. They had 20 weeks paid leave. This time coming into it, I'm a huge advocate for parental leave. I think it should be universal. I think there are huge benefits to the parent, to both parents. It's really important healing for the person who gave birth, bonding time, so I'm coming in now, as I was preparing to go out with Holland, I was like, okay, I'm going to take leave. One of the things that is really important is for leaders in a company to take the leave too, so that their employees feel comfortable taking leave. Because if you don't model that, so Ted and I both had these plans. And then the reality of the situation is we're a really small team. You know, at the time, Ted and I were 2 of the 4 people on Colugo's leadership team. We had 2 other members of our customer experience team had babies within about a month of Holland. Um, and the company has to keep going. And so who's going to come back to work? The leadership team. So Ted and I didn't I think I was, you know, when I was in the hospital waiting to get induced, Ted and I were on a call with Rob and Elizabeth, and the nurse came into the room and was like, "Okay, time to go." So we signed off then, and I think I was offline for maybe a week and a half and then was back cuz it was busy and we it was really important to me that the that my colleagues got to take their leave, and there was no world in which I was going to reach out to them to be like, "Any chance you wanna come back early?" Like, that never occurred to me, and I would never, never. And so I was just back, and it was really busy, and it was really, not what we had planned. But I'm really lucky to be working somewhere that's a company that I really believe in our mission, and I felt very and I was really happy that the other members of our team were, like, taking leave, and it felt exactly like what I should be doing. It was all possible, but it was definitely a wake-up call in terms of I didn't we didn't plan enough if we had, like, really wanted to have it happen. We should have had, like, more backup.
First lesson learned, we should have had more backup. Honestly, very easy to say, but we're also a very small company and hiring more people wasn't really a viable option for us at that time. So instead, maybe the lesson should be more around planning and prioritizing. What needed to get done? Having members of a small team on parental leave, that has some consequence, right? You can't pretend that everything can just keep going the way that it had been. And the same is true of the work Ted and I have been doing while we're off for some time. Like, not everything is getting done. Right before I went off, we brought on an amazing social media manager who has taken over that work. So some of it is hiring in new people, some of it is putting some things on pause and making sure we're still, fulfilling our mission and prioritizing, but not trying to do everything, and that's okay, and that's worth it to be able to offer parental leave because it's good for employees, it's good for the company. It means we'll hopefully be able to retain these amazing people, myself included. No, I'm just kidding. By making these steps where we're being really thoughtful about, how we're spending our time and where we're putting the resources that we do have. As I said at the top, I was very lucky to be able to work from home with my baby with me. Going back to the office presents a whole other set of challenges. I did that with the twins, and it is an adventure, to say the least. We will definitely do a future episode on that transition.
I think going back into the office is a whole different level, and the logistics of if you are pumping, like, when are you going to pump? How are you going to fit that into your day? What are you going to wear? Like, when you're pumping and you're going to work and you need something that you can, like, access, everything has to be, like, buttoned down or, like, easy to. And one day I remember I wore this, like, turtleneck kind of, like, dress thing, and I got to the office and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I had to fully kind of undress to pump with, like, my office wear clothes. So, there's a lot more to think about when you're going back into the office.
Working with a baby next to you is also an adventure, of course. I just sat down to review some email copy. And so, of course, Holland decided she no longer liked her container. That's what we call anywhere we put a baby down. Plus, we had our 3 other kids home on summer break. And for some reason, I thought I was going to become a totally different kind of parent. And then I have this vision of myself as a person who will, like, have activities every day. And, like, I did Google science experiments for 5-year-olds.
Yeah,
and
we can that'll
put
be fun.
some links into a spreadsheet. So I started
a spreadsheet full of links. We're almost there.
The process. But a nap would also be a good thing. I need to cut Ted's hair.
You've been great about cutting my hair.
Your hair just grows really fast. I was very rude this morning. I asked him as we were leaving. I was very rude. I was like, are you going to wear a hat? Yeah, it was not a nice thing to
see
say.
A contractor at our house, like, see a retail space for Colugo. So, like, I want to.
We got to put our best foot forward.
Also, I don't want to look too good. They'll, like, charge us double, You want to look good enough.
I don't know. I wish you could all see what his hair looks like right now.
It's a mess.
Well, I think this is also just me starting to have, feelings around how work is going to work as I'm, going back and Ted is going back. So we had, like, this last week, neither of us were working to the extent we could. And we're kind of like ramping back up, but it's just hard to imagine like how everything fits in right now.
Yeah. I mean, especially because like some of our prime work times are now, even quote unquote back working, are like Holland time, and that's good. That's how it has to be, and that's what we both want. But like, I'm not working late into the evening anymore.
Right.
You're not working, early in the morning necessarily anymore. Like even when all the big kids come with me to school, because Holland might be eating or need some love. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Just put a couple links in a spreadsheet. We'll be good.
Make another spreadsheet.
Halfway home.
Like most things in the fourth trimester, and really life, I suppose, I just had to go for it and trust that things would work out. I find that when I resist challenges, tensing up my body or trying to avoid them, I just waste energy and feel really bad. So I just dive in and try to find the good and the luck in them. And I had a couple work calls today that she nursed during, and I could be present on the call, which was exciting. I had a call with Elizabeth, our head of marketing, and she was like, so how are you going to manage your time? And I was like, I really don't know. But I'm going to focus on meetings and, internal meetings right now and doing asynchronous work then. So just kind of finding time in the day. I do think it's going to be easiest to work either while I'm nursing her or, of course, if Ted has her. I am using the Colugo carrier for when she's sleeping, and I can have her snuggled into me, and I just work like at a standing desk, which is AKA my counter with a little stand on it. So that's lovely, and that makes my life feel a lot more doable. I ate lunch today, and I got a little work done while she took a nap. I don't know. I feel like it's another set of hands, essentially. I guess it's freeing up my hands, but it just feels like such a help. And with perspective now, looking back, I'm really proud of what Team Colugo accomplished during this super busy time.
Maybe not planned it during a huge global supply chain disruption, because that was
like,
really the
Bye Bye Baby too, I feel like was also like...
Yeah. Bye Bye Baby was in the works, but it was really what kind of caused all of the backup was we had an amazing response to people wanting to pre-order our compact stroller. Mm-hmm. And then those shipments just continually were delayed, container shortages, congestion at the port, lack of drivers, lack of like chassis. I would never think I would be thinking about like, there are no chassis to pick up the container of stroller to get it to our warehouse. I mean, and we ended up opening our own warehouse this summer because our existing warehouse was completely unable to fulfill our orders because of labor shortage issues. So we spun one up in about 72 hours. That's 20 minutes from our home. And Ted became our warehouse manager while I was, in the tickets trying to get customers their strollers. And I am so personally invested in like every customer that reaches out to us. I'm like, I need to get you your stroller. Like I feel it really like in my heart. I'm like, okay, I need to do everything I can here. And so I'm proud of where we are now. Like, now we're at Bye Bye Baby. We're back in stock. Like we have a warehouse, so which means like the level of customer service can be so much higher because we have control over that part of the process. So coming out of it now, I'm like, okay, that was a really cool thing we did. Mm-hmm. It was just a surprise that was what the summer was.
So that's what this summer was, but what comes next? The last 2 years with COVID have been a particularly challenging time to be a parent. Women have been forced out of the workforce by the millions. It really bothers me when headlines read that they've, quote, left, they were pushed. Offering parental leave is critical to keeping parents and especially mothers in the workforce. It's not a favor, it's good business. Right now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, only 23% of Americans have access to any paid leave. 89% have access to unpaid leave, but access doesn't mean it's possible, of course. How many people can actually afford to take unpaid leave? Here's Colugo's policy. 16 weeks paid leave from day one of employment for all birthing and non-birthing parents, however you become a parent. 4 weeks of ramp-up time, which means working part-time for full pay as you get back into the groove. And one of every Colugo product free and a discount on additional items. We're so excited for you to get to use the gear. But we don't stop at parental leave. We also offer unlimited PTO because we want all employees to take the time away they need to recharge, celebrate, cope with a personal loss or challenge without worrying about the number of days they can take. In the parenting context, this also means, daycare calls, they need to pick you up, your kid is sick, they can't go to daycare, etc. And flexibility and empathy are really core values at Colugo. We trust each other and stand ready to step in when anyone needs extra help or to step back. Because parental leave is really just the starting point, as Zach and I talk about here.
I sometimes wonder if I would rather have leave. I keep telling Ted, I'm like, maybe I'll just take leave in like December. And he's like, you absolutely will not do.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
But I'm like,
have you rethought like the leave conversation at all now that you get to make the leave policy?
I think that's a really good point. And I think it is something I think about kind of in that context is when I was at the law firm, I went to 80%, like officially. Most people I feel like who do that will tell you all that means is you're getting paid 80% and you're doing 100% of your job and you're just perceived as being less committed. It's very difficult. I mean, I'm sure depending on your organization, like at Colugo, there's no penalty for being part-time. Our CX team is part-time and we're always kind of looking to that team when new opportunities come to be like, do you want to move into this? So I think part-time can work really well in some contexts, but what I think you really need is flexible time, meaning you're paid full-time, but you're given flexibility to work hours in the day that work for you and work for the rest of the team, right? I do think there needs to be synchronous times when everyone is working at the same time and able to be on a meeting. But asynchronous work also is great. And a focus on deliverables and not like FaceTime. Like, are you achieving your priorities? Are you getting the job done? Not like how many hours a day are you sitting at your desk?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I thought about. Like maybe I want to block on my calendar on days when Fritz and Lark are home from school at 3:30. Maybe I want to block on my calendar from like 3:30 to 7 on those days and not have meetings, and making that clear and then making it clear to everyone on the team that they can do that, whether they're parents, honestly, or not. Like people have other things going on and we want them to be able to like be fully people. Like I think some of the things that are talked about as things that are good for parents also are good for everyone because it's a recognition of your employees being fully people with lives and respecting them to get their work done and to, have flexibility with their schedules.
I think it's just like a new way of like where I hope the workforce is going, that like being in an office from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or whatever, like all day and barely leaving and having no flexibility is like an old way of thinking.
Yeah.
And like if we came out of the pandemic with something, it's that like we can work no matter where we are or what time it is. I don't know if that's always the case, but like the girl I work with, she has a child, she's also pregnant. And like they won't let her leave until 5:30 ever.
Wow.
And like a lot of the times, like they make her stay till 6 and she's just like missing bedtime and she's a very young child. And now the child's like developing all this anxiety about her mom like never being there for bedtime. And so this conversation is kind of making me thinking like it's not just leave that your company should be thinking about, but it really is like that's the first step of like the journey of supporting a working parent, which is like the child's going to have needs past the 3 months you give them off from work
Yeah.
to like, get ready. But like then there's like bedtime and family time and drop off and pick up and just things that are necessary that I don't know if everyone's considering.
No, and I mean, Ted and I try to be really intentional. Like my calendar is public, like anyone can see what I'm doing. And I put on there when it's like school pickup, I have that blocked on my calendar and I call it what it is. At the law firm, I would just be like busy,
Yeah, that's how
you
I
know?
am.
And so I try to do that. So again, like to try to model that that's okay. We recognize that everyone has different things going on and kids have doctor's appointments. And right now, when a kid has a stuffy nose, they can't go into school. And so I do think, yeah, parental leave is really just the start and everyone should have access to that. And like, that's not far enough thinking. If you, especially, Colugo, we want to recruit and retain parents as part of our team, which means we have to think about this holistically. And I think it's flexibility and empathy. If it's just flexibility, I feel like it's just like do the same amount of work on off hours. And then that just means you're like working all into the night to like hit the same. So it's also like thinking about priorities and communicating those and like what really does need to happen and not kind of creating a culture where it's just like work for the sake of work. It's like what is the most impactful things and like let's all focus on that. And then knowing that things are going to come up and we'll figure it out and like work through it together.
If your company doesn't currently offer paid leave or other benefits aimed at retaining parents, and you're in any sort of position of leadership, please use your power to affect change. In terms of how to do that, I wish it was as easy as saying, it's the right thing to do. But speaking in economic terms can be very persuasive. Companies need to retain their employees. It costs a lot to onboard new people, right? Parental leave and flexible work with empathy keeps parents in the workforce. It helps to recruit top talent. I love working with other parents. They're pro multitaskers, very efficient, and great at negotiation. These are all skills that are cultivated or learned as a parent that directly translate into being an amazing employee. With the Build Back Better bill currently dead in the Senate, change is going to have to come at the company level, which means change has to come from you, my dear listener. If COVID has taught us as parents anything, it's that no one is coming to save us. We have to fight for ourselves. I'm going to close here by reflecting on the challenges of being a parent with a job, in addition to the job of being a parent, even if it's a job you love. Hopefully some of you can relate.
I think the most challenging thing about working as a parent is the divided attention and feeling like I have trouble being fully present with my kids because work is on my mind. And when I'm working, feeling like my kids are on my mind. And one of the ways I'm trying to address that is by being more intentional about like kid time and work time.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't say I've found the like me time part of that. I do have my run walks now
Hey,
in the
that's like the
morning.
first step. That's the first
Literally.
step.
Yeah. I think giving up on the idea of multitasking in a way that I think I had been holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, if I'm nursing Holland and have my phone in my hand, she reaches her little hand up and like knocks it away.
Whoa.
Like I can't even like send it. I used to be able to like Slack like while I was feeding her, and now I can't. So she's teaching me. And so it means I have to be really efficient and prioritize my work.
Mm-hmm.
And it means I work every day. So I am not like, okay, I'm going to make my nights and weekends like sacred. It's that I have to work every day, but I need to block time to work and like block time to be with my kids. That's what I'm trying to do a better job of. So I'm not doing like a bad job at both.
Right. That's what I had listened to this interview with Shonda Rhimes about like the year of yes. She decided to start saying yes to everything because she felt like she was just working all the time. What she realized, just like when her kid said, "Mommy, can we play?" that she was like, if I just gave all my attention to them, it's going to be like 10 to 15 minutes if I really focus on them, as opposed to trying to be like kind of in, kind of out, trying to email. She's like, and I started realizing that about my life as a mom, which was that like, if I just put all of my attention into that thing when I was asked upon it, it really wasn't that long. And I got the benefits from both. And like my email was still there at the end of the day.
Like that's, I mean, in the mornings when I get up and I'm like pumping and having some coffee before I go for my walk run, the amount that I get done in that 30 minutes is like what I would try to get done in like a whole morning before when I was, with the kids and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can really fire stuff off. My efficiency is much higher.
It's easy to aspire to focused attention on work, on your baby, on yourself, and it's hard to achieve, of course. But I think it's worth trying in the pursuit of feeling more calm amidst the chaos. I also got some great advice from the doula who led the virtual moms group I joined when Holland was born. But one of the things they said in this Circle Moms group was like, you just have to be in the present moment and take things day by day. Because almost all of us like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen when X, Y, or Z, like when my partner goes back to work, or when I go back to work, or all these things. And the doula was like, you just got to kind of slide into the present moment and be there. So that's what I'm trying to do and not project too far out. Try to take it like a week at a time and figure out what'll work for our family and for Colugo during that week. So, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, take it day by day. Don't make big pronouncements about what I'm going to accomplish. Just get done what I can. Make sure I'm communicating with family members, with members of Team Colugo to make sure that we're prioritizing well and working together and figuring out what needs to get done in a way that everyone feels supported. So that's the goal. Just don't try to accelerate right now because it's not going to work. Before we close, I want to make my stance on whether to take parental leave clear. If your company offers parental leave, take it. I took almost 6 months of leave with my twins and my third because I was at a law firm that offered that benefit. This time around, I didn't take the leave I could have, but I needed and actually wanted to jump back in. I was able to do it on my own terms and to further the mission of the company I'm building along with an amazing team. Also, cannot emphasize this one enough, I am positive you are doing a better job than you think you are at parenting and working and any combination of the two. I'm so proud of you. On our next episode, we are bringing this story to a close. It's the season 2 finale. I'll be reflecting with Zach about what we've learned and what we have in store for season 2.5. Talk soon.
I do need to find opportunities for thinking about who I am and what I like totally distinct from being a parent or being a member of Team Colugo. I feel as though the past year, those have been my identities, and I haven't had any time to kind of think about anything else, anything separate. I just joined this virtual new mom support group. One of the questions was tell us something about yourself that was really important before you had kids that you want to hold on to. And I was kind of I don't really know. I'm 5 years into this and I don't remember. I don't really know. And so that's something I want to kind of leave behind, that being all consumed by parenthood and work, I guess.
Today We Tried is brought to you by Colugo, a baby gear brand founded by parents for parents. I'm your host, Christy McGregor, and our incomparable producer is Zach Walker. Come back next week for more tales from the 4th trimester. And in the meantime, remember, you got this.